Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Alternate edition is a convoluted fucking mess. The story is... why am I talking about the story now? I give this movie a 0 out of 10, and so why am I talking about go further? I don't know why. What's the point? They're never going to release the original cuts of the trilogy. Not as long as George Lucas still has life left in him. That fat fuck. Sadly. Even though he's a diabetic, he still somehow was still living. And is in poor health still for many years, so... Oh, I'm sad to say I don't think he's ever going to fucking die, so we can see the original cuts, the non-altered versions of the Star Wars trilogy. Pray that bastard dies in this life. I will continue and hope for my love of the original trilogy to see it again. The unaltered versions. And also the unaltered version of the prequel trilogy I would like to see again. And that's why I want him dead. Yep. Look, he said on record he doesn't plan ever releasing the prequel, the original, the unaltered cuts of his films, as long as he still lives the living. So dealing with that, it can't happen if we make sure something happens to him, Disney. I'm counting you to save this original trilogy and bring it back to get released. And all the cuts. I'm praying that you'll do something to that bastard soon. While I'm still young. And make it look like an accent, if you know what I mean. To George, whatever you do with George Lucas, make it look like an accent. He didn't got it from me. That advice, so... The sad thing is, I haven't liked a fucking Star Wars movie a long time that I have owned on physical media. The last one I owned on physical media was a VHS copy of Return of the Jedi. The original unaltered cut before the special edition came out. That's the one I ended up liking. Last one. And don't really have those original VHS anymore, the unaltered cuts anymore. They got old, it's like VHSs too. And too physically to play again because I play them too often. And now I'm just making myself depressed and sad. So I give it a 0 out of 10, The Empire Strikes Back. I'll just talk about the story briefly. So, Luke goes to this planet to train with Yoda. He finishes to become a full Jedi. And he has to skip on his battle training. And running courses was running around the course with Yoda to save his buddy Han from turning to stone. He's too late. Those two take revenge of Han's death by going to toe with actually who we find out was his father. And loses his hand and drops to his doom, but is rescued by Leia in the process with the Millennium Falcon, and he gets a new robot hand. And it ends with them searching for Han and try to bring him back from unfossilizing him, you know? And it ends kind of on a bit of a better note, the whole movie does. And that was the movie. And I gotta say, the problems that this movie has is basically in the effects. The effects, keep in mind, I'm not talking about the effects the movie that made was for the time. Those effects are perfectly fine. I'm talking about the effects that George Lucas made many decades after, how each decade passes, he keeps on patching up the film for the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. After each decade pass, he keeps on shuffling scenes, adding more visual effects, and editing out and editing stuff in, and shuffling things around, and effects and story elements. Those are the things I think was damaging these movies and doing more harm than good. A lot. Perhaps I wouldn't like. I gotta say, I don't think I would hate the guy adding different scenes in if those scenes that were in the original cut still in the other cut of both versions, and they got cut out just to make it into a cartoon. And also, probably wouldn't mind if they used if you didn't use too much modern effects, but use more, well, the effects that kind of fit into the time. And I really hate how this one, I think looks the most modern out of them. I don't know why, but I think it has something to do with the blue tint. Which is strange because this one has at least altered features to the movie, the main movie. You know, the weaknesses of the movie. But for some reason, George just wanted to give the whole movie a blue tint to it, instead of leaving like it was, or patching it up. You know, I would have liked a special edition of Star Wars if George Lucas did this with the original trilogy. I think a special edition of Star Wars could have been good if he just added scenes in and patched actually sound quality up and make the pictures more crystal clear. But you don't really have to change anything else. It's just if you do anything else out of that, that's just a little unnecessary. It's like because at that point it's already a different movie in a different trilogy altogether. That's all because what George Lucas did with the special editions, he did something with the original trilogy, it has no bare bone that makes it recognizable of the same film that became loved by many people for each movie installment of the original trilogy. Like, I don't think a lot of people remember it. Like, a lot of people don't really, like, probably because I don't think a lot of people don't really watch Star Wars now. And, well, they do, they just don't watch the original cuts of the movie because you can't really get them anywhere on physical or streaming, so it doesn't seem really fair. Because it's kind of just a waste of potential. Because it seems kind of like people are not going to get like the charm that the clunky effects, the data effects that had in the first one. And the thing is, Star Wars, the original Star Wars, was kind of like the first Terminator movie, in a way, in terms of quality and a budget. I mean, it had a low. You can tell this for like the time that came out that the effects and also weren't the best. In fact, they were kind of rough. Looked like they were roughly for finished effects, but I don't know. That also seemed like kind of like the charm of it, you know. That Star Wars, the original Star Wars from the original trilogy, that was before it got altered and changed and polished, and to the point it got too polished. And the Italian trilogy to the point, and nothing looked old school about it. Nothing looked, you know, there was no look of. It didn't. Nothing looked honestly, or looked or felt like the Star Wars you came to love. And the reason why is that it, fuck, I forget what I was going to say. I just trying to like search my thoughts. You know, I'm sure trying to search my thoughts is. My problem is I think it's too polished, the alternate special editions of the original trilogy, and it just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right because, you know, the original Star Wars movie were pretty ugly looking and cheap looking, especially the first one ever made. And the continuing that quality throughout the original trilogy, this was slightly one being looking more expensive than the other, probably because, well, while the movie was groundbreaking, it wasn't groundbreaking for was the movie. I guess like people say the movie was changed. Well, changed everything. Well, effects. Well, the movie original Star Wars in the Star Wars movies, the original trilogy, weren't known for being high quality effects, put it that way. They were more on the level effects of B movie, a budget. Especially when compared the effects from the other times that were the stuff that was out from around that came around the same time periods of the original trilogy. If you can get the original cuts of the movie, that the non-special edition version of the film, but you can't unless you get the original VHS's release, you know? So, I always thought that the fact that Star Wars looks like a low-budget movie and kind of, if it was always like, it was like, but took, and it looked low budget, and it looked low budget because it turns out it was kind of low budget, the franchise for the original trilogy, I found out, and I think the fact that it took itself so seriously is kind of the reason why I loved it. The fact that it was, yes, you could tell it was obviously had a bit of a budget problem of being not the most high budget movie franchise made, and before the prequel trilogy came in. In fact, Star Wars I remember like Star Wars didn't really have really groundbreaking freaks until the Phantom Menace came out. So yeah, so it wasn't the effects. Was now in the first fifth. What? So, I mean, to me, I think always why I like the unaltered cuts, the non-special editions, the ones that the original versions of the trilogy is the ones that are not special editions because it looks like visually like garbage. And I don't mean garbage as it looks disgusting. I mean, it doesn't look expensive. It looks like a low-budget film because it is always a low-budget film. But it's telling this, like, really grand space opera story and playing it straight. It feels this, that gives it the sincerity of you feel like the of this world, and you end up falling in love with it. You know, and I think the fact that that those films don't really exist anymore on modern media or streaming. The original cuts that are outside the special edition of the original trilogy. The special editions, the ones that the cuts for the original trilogy, that not the special edition ones. I think that's a bit of a waste, and that those ones don't exist, and a real shame because I don't know. I took it more seriously when I just felt like, it felt more unique that way when it was the original cuts of the movie. The fact that it looks like crap. I feel like the fact that George Lucas wanted so much to make it look more polished and stuff, it made the story look kind of campy and really cheesy and cringe, and the bad kind of campy, like the worst kind. Not the good kind, the one I feel... I see there's like two kinds of... There's one that's like honest and sincere, and then it's cringe and you just want to prove you're a genius and to get a paycheck for your job well done. And the alternate trilogy, special edition of the original trilogy, feel like the second one I listed off, where the bad kind of campy, it felt like. But the original cuts of the original trilogy felt like the opposite. It felt like there was love and there was the commitment to this, original franchise that, well, probably is never going to get seen again, unless Disney somehow buys the rights to George Lucas's all of his old movies that he doesn't want to get the original release, have them released to streaming and to physical of the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy that's unaltered. Is like, if he can, I just think if George Lucas could just die, this world would be a much better place for me, and probably for all Star Wars fans, and probably because the prequel fan, the people that want fan of the prequel fans can finally, those who love the prequel series more than the original trilogy, I mean, I don't think I'm going to. It's like, I think that would be best for them if George Lucas just died. That way they could get their cut of their original cuts of the film that made theaters were never remade to home video. Because George Lucas wanted it to be done that way, and I think the original trilogy, yes, they could just get the original trilogy that, well, was released on the original VHS copies, but never on the later VHS's release, and DVD, and then Blu-ray, and so on and so on. So, yeah, maybe if George Lucas dies, Disney will do something, like they'll release the unaltered cuts of the prequel, all the prequel movies, all three of the original trilogies. Well, one can only hope, and I can only hope. I can have hope. I can dream. I have a dream. So, I guess that's all I gotta say. Now, so yeah, Empire Strikes, like, my lips are a little dry. Empire Strikes Back gets a 0 out of 10. Bye.